Hi, this is Tyler Hendricks, and I wanted to talk for a few minutes on the topic of the succession. The topic is that of true parents' succession, the inheritance of the blessing and responsibility to be the central figure couple of the unification movement, or Chanel-guk. What I will be sharing here is True Father's words on the subject, including statements going back to the early 80s that I have organized to explain that we all are successors, the notion of a central successor, and this person's or couple's qualifications and mission. First of all, the first point is that our founder is with us. Father said, even when I am alone, I represent true parents, and the same goes for mother. When she is alone, she represents true parents. He said, this is mother's age. Father is even preparing to put mother in father's place. That was in 1991 in Hawaii, on their way to meet Kim Il-sung. You should not say things like, Father said, you should not say things like, now since father is over 70, why hasn't he designated an heir? Mother and father are still alive, and our children are here as well, so there's no need to worry. Fundamentally, I'm the first founder of the church, and mother is the second founder of the church. Up to this point, women have followed men, but from now on, they are on a horizontally even footing. So true mother is the co-founder, and it's not time for a successor to lead. But it is time for a successor to prepare, and for us to prepare to work with a successor. So let's consider Father's guidance on the topic of succession. First, we all are successors. Father said all blessed couples are direct sons and daughters. When the Messiah comes, he will bring those in the adopted child's position into the position of direct sons and daughters of God, and then elevate mankind into true parenthood under God. This was True Parents' Day speech in 1977. And Father said, since we were born wrongfully, our birth must be redone. We need to be born again. God participates in this rebirth process by leading the providence of twins. This is the age of twins. We must be born as twins like Esau and Jacob. We need to go all the way back, all the way to the mother's womb. Whose womb? True mother's. Father said, I have announced the era of the realm of the fourth Adam, and mother has completed her responsibility by uniting Cain and Abel. Thus, all of my foundation must be engrafted to the blessed members. So we are all successors. Second, all successors have to receive the blessing. In the family pledge, we are families. We are the owners of Chanel-guk as blessed families. Father said in the new Chanzangyang, the path of faith should be completely focused on receiving the blessing. Third, all successors have to bless others. I have bestowed the blessing upon innumerable people from the religious realm and permitted the blessing of their sons and daughters and the blessing of the spirit world. I tell you, find your way to places where you have a connection of heart. Go and bless generations of people in your religious denomination without even sleeping. Fourth, all successors together are to restore nations. In Father's final prayer, he said, if the tribal messiahs are able to fulfill the calling of national representatives and restore the 387 nations, this refers to the Cain UN 193 and the Abel UN 194, the Universal Peace Federation. Fifth, the direct children are the center of this. Going back to that prayer, I declare that if, centering on the 14 sons and daughters, the tribal messiahs are able to fulfill the calling of national representatives and restore the nations, everything will be brought to a conclusion. This refers to 14 direct children, not one in particular, but all of them, in heaven and on earth, as one. Now let's build from this the central successor's mission. In principle, there is a central successor, the central fruit of the central bud of the central shoot. To this person, Father implicitly gave 3 missions. First, unity. Sustain the true parent's ideal family. Second, leadership. Through the ideal family, lead heavenly tribal messiahship for all blessed families. Third, sacrifice. Through heavenly tribal messiahship, restore all nations and build Chan Il-guk. Start with number 1, true parents' ideal family. The model is one of servant leadership and family unity, exemplified in shared decision-making. Father said, even in the family of true parents, everyone will gather and, based on their discussion, decide who actually lived in accordance with the principle. A life not lived at personal sacrifice for the sake of the entire family is unrighteous. True mother and our sons and daughters have to continue living for the sake of others with the absolute love of God, even more than the church members. But just in case something goes wrong with our descendants or something goes against the principle, we will create a system to correct the matter through family meetings. The ideal family lives on earth and in heaven. The 14 children include 4 in the spirit world. When Father said 14, he was talking about Hyojinim, Hijinim, Hunjinim, and Youngjinim. And of course, Father is in spirit world. The central family is to display the unity of earth and heaven. So the successor's first mission is to build this unity of the family on earth and in heaven. This will require cooperation with True Mother, which starts with filial piety. True Father said that filial piety is the first characteristic of the central successor. He said, my successor among my sons and daughters will be determined in the same way. The one who sacrifices himself the most for the sake of God's will, the one who best exemplifies the principles of loyalty and filial piety. Everything is measured against that tradition in the family or in the church. The central successor also will be unanimously accepted. Father said, we must not be self-centered. Everyone in the Unification Church knows this. Everyone in my family and clan knows this as well. One point is clear. The world will enter the era of heaven's law. The beginning of selflessness is family relation. It's right in the family, especially with true parents. The rest of the successor's public life depends on this. True Father said, True Father will appoint his successor. That successor must be known to all the Unification Church, all the blessed couples, and the true parents' family. They must all unanimously accept him. Thus, there will be no separation. Father said, even if I die, the tradition of the unification movement will never be destroyed. A different tradition cannot appear in the movement. Even if it did, it would soon rejoin the mainstream. This all leads to the purpose and mission of oneness with True Mother. Unity of the family will require cooperation with True Mother. Father's words, this is the era of mother-son cooperation. When the era of mother-son cooperation is grafted into the era of father-son cooperation, blessed families can enter the era of father-son cooperation following true parents' family. Sons will be liberated through mother-son and father-son cooperation. Men in general have not cooperated with heaven and even opposed heaven. Now men can achieve success on the national, world, and cosmic levels through absolute faith, absolute love, and absolute obedience, which prior to now was not possible. We must enter into the era of father-son cooperation on the victorious foundation of mother-son cooperation through mother. That was said in 2000. So mother-son cooperation is the precondition for father-son cooperation, as it was with the model course of Jacob, Moses, and Jesus. Father said, the responsible person of the Unification Church is not Hyungjin or Kukjin. On top of Hyungjin, there is mother, and on top of her, there is father. Do you understand? Do not forget this. And order starts from one. This is an application of a principle Father explained in 1991. There's only one parent. You must go through the right process. In order to do this, a father and mother cannot go together at the same time. The father's heart and mother's heart, and the father's body and mother's body must be in one line. And then the son's heart and the daughter's heart, the son's body and the daughter's body must be in one line. This was Father's words in 1991. So, of course, Satan, this is where Satan's going to attack. Satan wants to divide true children and true mother. It's fairly apparent to anyone observing, but Father said it himself very clearly. The fall took place because the children's mind did not understand the agony of their parents' mind. Because of this, the children became indifferent. In order to re-indemnify this failure, all of us must seek to know what goes on in true mother's mind. What kind of difficulties, what kind of agony she has to face in order to reach out to us and the rest of the world. That is the commandment which Father has required of mother also. Mother has to pay attention to everything which Father does. Likewise, we must have an absolute experience of what Father and Mother are going through. We must become as one body with our parents. This is the commandment of children, to believe absolutely in what Father and Mother are doing and experience our parents' heart. This applies to all family relationships, including true children. Whoever does not agree with Father and Mother has no place here. After entering into Canaan, the problem was that the mother and children did not come into complete unity. In Haran, the mother worked so hard in order to provide for the children, but did not have time enough to educate the children correctly. Father is now asking all children to come into complete unity with true mother at all levels. All satanic forces, visible and invisible, work toward trying to separate the unity between the true children and mother, and any kind of unity within true family. That is what Satan does all the time. 1994, Father's words at Belvedere. So this is the successor's first job, to work with true mother to bring the family together in oneness. Number 2, leadership. Multiply heavenly tribal messiahs. The second mission will unfold naturally when the family is one and lives for the greater good. As Father said, true mother and our sons and daughters have to continue living for the sake of others with the absolute love of God, even more than the church members. 1990. So then multiplication will take place naturally. There are 4 generations: the grandparent, God, the father and mother, the husband and wife, and the sons and daughters. They form one sphere. Adam and Eve are the father and mother. By the generation of their grandchildren, the 4-position foundation will have multiplied to many tens of couples. The unity of true parents is essential for this expansion providence. This is the seed and the model. This is Father's words, the seed and the model from which the 12 tribes can emerge, and then hundreds of branch tribes. Thus, in Adam and Eve's family, sons and daughters who are in the position of their grandchildren emerge through 3 generations. They form the seed, the oneness of the 4th generation. That is the model. In summary, the substantial ideal family will naturally expand by being the model heavenly tribal Messiah of 4 and more generations, expanding Chanelguk to all races, nations, and religions, which is the third mission. Third mission, sacrifice. We're going to sacrifice everything. Father sacrificed everything to restore the nation. He said, the children's unity with their parents must work to bring about the unification of the nation, and indeed the nation itself. When we have a country, the 2nd generation can be blessed at that time. Until that time, there will be no inheritance made to children. Once this country comes into being, the 2nd generation can be blessed. Only when the nation emerges can true parents pass the inheritance to the children. The 2nd generation has to understand this point very clearly. Is it any wonder that true mothers so dedicated to creating that substantial nation, so we can truly pass the blessing to the 2nd generation? It isn't that the 2nd generation is free to do whatever they wish after inheriting the victorious foundation from the 1st generation and parents. After reaching Canaan, the 2nd generation should be burning with the desire to establish a nation of their own and God's own. 1994 at Belvedere. So the successor must realize the anointing. It's not just automatic. It's not just by laying on of hands and everything's done. Not at all. Father said, didn't Adam and Eve originally receive the blessing of God? God willed them to be blessed, saying, be fruitful, multiply. But they did not realize the blessing. Whose responsibility was it? It was not God's responsibility. It was their own. It is the parents' responsibility to bless their children, but to realize the blessing is the children's task. So too, it is the successor's responsibility to realize the blessing that true parents gave. Blessing is as blessing does. And this is not easy nor guaranteed to happen. Father said, as we enter the era of the constitution of heaven's nation, no matter how close you are to God, you will be punished if you violate his law. God will continue working, even if it takes an eternity, to find and erect heirs who do not violate his law. Thank you very much for listening.